Walk into a classroom today and what do you see? Students milling about, desks arranged in groups instead of rows, and you'll hear lots of chatter. This is a very different scene from classrooms of the past. Teachers today are facing many challenges, including the No Child Left Behind initiative. They are also seeing the inclusion of higher levels of special education students, as well as many more English language learners than ever before. Add to this disruptive behavior, plus students simply not engaging in education, and teachers' time and energy are diverted away from teaching. With less time for instruction and teachers feeling ineffective, what can be done to address these issues? Research shows that using proactive classroom management strategies, such as a school-wide behavioral program, and setting structure through clearly defined rules can curb disruptive behaviors. This is important because disruptive behaviors in classrooms interfere with learning, and according to George Sugai, are one of the major causes of teacher burnout. Also, how classrooms are managed can be instrumental in determining a student's success in education. Whether a student is able to become vested in the process or simply give up is strongly influenced by their classroom experience. Even minor disruptive behaviors can interfere with students becoming involved, and these include speaking without permission, moving around the room during instruction time, non-compliance with teachers' directions, and unwanted physical contact, according to authors Guardino and Fullerton. A commonly used form of proactive plan is a school-wide positive behavioral system, tells us George Sugai. A PBS usually includes a three-tiered approach. The level that the student would operate on depends on the amount of control their behavior requires. This chart illustrates the steps or tiers involved in structuring a positive behavioral system. And I want to point out the word positive in the title. This is a plan that believes in encouraging and reinforcing correct behaviors instead of focusing on the negative ones. According to George Sugai in Beyond the Discipline Handbook, about 7,500 schools in over 40 states are now implementing a form of PBS. He states that a three-tiered program is usually the best way to structure this. The first tier is taught to the entire student body, is taught in a positive and organized manner, and it supports the school's mission and their curriculum. This reaches about 70 to 80% of the students. The second tier focuses on the 20 to 30% of the student body that's left. And in this, there are small groups that meet with teachers. They're taught behavioral counseling and conflict management. And these are kids that need just a little more thorough instruction. The final group is for a very few students, but it's taught in a very concentrated manner. And it involves a counselor or a special education teacher. They're going to meet one-on-one with the student. They also provide frequent cues and reinforcements to help encourage the correct behaviors. Sometimes a mental health specialist might be required to work with the entire family. Although a PBS governs behavior in the entire school, it does lead well into addressing issues in the classroom. Because once students understand the expectations for proper behavior, they are able to carry that out throughout the building, including their classroom and transition time. Transitions can be very disruptive, and they involve the time when students would be moving from their classroom to another location, such as the lunchroom, a special, or recess. They might involve the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and even something as simple as changing from subject to subject. Authors Wheatley, West, Charlton, Sanders, Smith, and Taylor tell us that there are many kinds of proactive strategies, but that they all need to include clearly defined rules. Andrew Capizzi tells us that rules need to be posted in a clearly visible location and written in a simple and direct way. Rules can be anything from the basics in a classroom, when you're allowed to speak, when you're allowed to move about, how we treat each other, how we respect school property. They might look at character traits also. Wheatley et al. Also tells us that a common language between the teachers, students, and administrators is fundamental. Everybody needs to be on the same page. They all need to understand the rules in the same way to make them effective. Capizzi also tells us that rules need to be taught and reviewed, and that the relevance needs to be explained so that the children understand. Research shows that using proactive classroom management strategies, such as a school-wide behavioral plan, and setting structure through clearly defined rules can help curb disruptive behaviors. Initially, it will take a teacher a little more time to set up and explain this structure. The PBS and rules should be taught at the beginning of the year and then reviewed whenever necessary. However, with a thoughtfully developed plan and clearly defined rules and expectations, students are far more likely to understand what is expected of them. When a school-wide plan is initiated and followed in a consistent manner throughout the entire school setting, disruptive behaviors can be curbed. All of this leads to a much calmer learning atmosphere for the students, and teachers will be able to concentrate more on teaching and less on discipline. Any questions?
Yes. Is this program expensive to implement?
No, it's not. It does take time and effort. It needs to have a team set up that is going to organize and collaborate on what rules are important to that particular school. It needs to be taught to the entire staff, and that's usually done through a staff meeting. In addition, there can be tokens utilized to promote and encourage proper behavior, and those can be something simple as a ticket done on Microsoft and then copied.
And does every classroom have to have identical rules?
No, the rules that are going to be set throughout the entire school are going to be standard for common areas. But in a classroom, each teacher needs to look at their own particular set of students and needs and develop rules that make sense to their classroom. Thank you.